You've seen them on pizzas and tried them in salads. They're a tiny but tasty delicacy called capers. Now, they may be small, but they've got a big story and a lot of history behind them. And that's why I'm in the Adelaide suburb of Ethelton to meet a gardener, cook and author who knows all about them.
And that's what's called a caper. Well, when we started growing them, there's just no experience of growing Mediterranean capers in Australia. So I thought I've got to learn this. And so I applied for scholarship and I got it. And we headed off to Morocco, Italy and Spain, to Malta and Turkey, the Greek islands, most of those Mediterranean countries. Terrible places to go. It's just so beautiful, you know. And we saw the capers growing and saw people trying to grow them. And we saw people with different menus, different ways of eating them. So I brought all that back and then I put it in a book so people can read about my knowledge and other people can add to that if they need to, yeah.
So this is a caper bush, and the first thing I noticed are these stunning flowers.
And the flower is very pretty. It comes out normally in the evening, but it lasts only 16 hours.
Wow.
Very fragrant.
And so the flower itself is just simply a bud that's open, and the bud is the caper.
The bud is the caper, yeah. You pick the flower before it opens up, and that's what is the tasty bit, the nice caper bud. But if you leave the flower to grow, the female part in the middle becomes the caper berry. Yeah.
So you actually get the caper and the caper berry off the same plant?
Off the same bush, yeah.
So what sort of plant is it?
It's a perennial bush. It grows about 800 high. And the arms keep growing. After you pick the capers, the arm grows longer. So eventually it falls on the ground and creates its own carpet or mulch.
It's a long-lived plant.
Yeah, you should compare it more with a fruit tree. It'll last 30 to 50 years. It'll take 3 to 4 years to come to maturity, but you will get a few flowers and a few buds as it's growing.
For home gardeners, what do they need to know to grow a caper bush?
Caper bush is very easy to grow. It'll look after itself after about 2 summers. So you have to keep the water up to it and the fertilisers for the first 2 summers, and then it'll look after itself. All you have to do is cut it back in the winter. When the winter comes, all the leaves fall off and you cut them back, and that means you produce more capers next year. They will grow in poor soils, but they do like a bit of mineral mix and a bit of compost and good fertiliser.
And I presume they need good drainage?
Good drainage, yeah. So if you've got clay soils, you need to add some gypsum and compost and open it up. But they will grow in sandy soils, but they probably need a bit more fertiliser. It's not worth trying to grow them from seed because they vary so much. They don't grow true. And only 30 to 40% will be any good. So you're wasting your money growing from seed. And they're very difficult to propagate. You can't propagate them at home. It's taken me 25 years to work it out. Yeah.
So when it comes to harvesting the unopened flower bud, what size do you go for?
When they pick them in the industry, they pick all the sizes and then they separate them through a sieve. And they sell them in different sizes. But the smallest are the most popular, and you pick them so that you're removing the stem at the same time. And if you get to the big ones, they're too flowery, so you can't get too big.
So you'd let that flower and then go on to form the berry?
Yeah, and then after you pick them, the branch will grow again in another 10 days, and you come back and pick more capers.
So, Brian, why can't we eat them fresh, straight off the bush?
They're very bitter when you pick them off the bush. They're like olives, and they need to be cured with salt before you can eat them.
So talk me through the process of how you get them from fresh to what we'd recognise when we buy them in the shops.
OK, so you get the capers, and if you've got a kilo, you have to add 40% salt. So
wow.
that's about 400 grams. It's a fair bit. And then you just stir them together and perhaps keep stirring them every day or so. And so after about 10 days, they start to weep. You know, in the same way when you put salt on eggplant and zucchini. So the liquid comes off, and then you add 20% salt again, another 200 grams, for another 10 days. So when you want to use them, you wash the salt off with a colander and then soak them in a bowl of water, and the salt goes out through osmosis, and then they're ready to eat.
Best of all, after the preserving comes the cooking and the eating. And Brian's adding the capers to pizzas. Wow, look at that, Brian. That looks amazing.
They're beautiful pieces, with the capers on top, yeah.
Oh, yum.
And this is Atlantic salmon. Capers and seafood go very well together.
And all this food has capers in it?
Yeah, they've all got capers, especially these beautiful scones. They've got 2 types of cheeses and the capers chopped up inside them. And these are 3 dips. One is caperberry hummus. This is a classic one called tapenade, which is both olives and capers together. And the final one is a caper pesto with lemon and sultanas.
Yum.
Oh, and we put together a quick mayonnaise with capers chopped up. Margarita.
Amazing. Beautiful, thank you.
Beautiful.
What else are you going to go for?
I think I'll try the caperberry one.
If you've got a hot, dry spot, why not plant some capers in your garden? Not only are they an attractive shrub, but soon you'll get to enjoy delicious results. Brian, this spread looks amazing. I just think I need to grab some salad. Wonderful, thank you. Look at these.